Hey everyone, and welcome to Grit and Greatness. I'm so excited to bring you this episode. And I know I say this about every episode, but today in particular, Lindsay Albanese, one of my favorite entrepreneurs. I've known Lindsay for a couple of years now. It's really interesting just to see how she's grown. She obviously started off as a celebrity stylist and then moved into becoming a online influencer with a large following in the YouTube space as well as Instagram, founding by Lindsay Albanese, which is a range of serviceable style products. So what I love most about Lindsay is that she's a hustler. She really knows how to get in there, leverage what she's already done in her career, and sort of use that as stepping stones to, how she's got to where she is now. And most importantly, I just love how relatable she is and how she just has built up such an engaged community. So Lindsay, it's such an honor to have you here. So welcome along. And I know I've given a short intro. Can you just talk us through your career and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, I can kind of tighten it up a little because, it's hard to encapsulate a 19-year journey, right? And all these twists and turns and pivots and ups and downs, but I will keep it short and sweet. So as you shared, I was a celebrity fashion stylist. I started that in 2004 when no one knew what a stylist was, when Google wasn't even around. That's how long ago. My first job at 23 was styling at Entertainment Tonight. That was the turning point of my career. And then from there, I styled judges on American Idol, Dancing with the Stars. I've styled everyone from Sarah Hyland, Shay Mitchell, Jimmy Kimmel, and everyone in between. And then about, I want to say 9 years ago, I was thinking, what do I want to do when I'm 60? And I was like, I do not want to style celebrities anymore. I did it, I conquered it, but my curiosity led me somewhere else, which was I heard all these kids making all this money on YouTube. And I was like, wait, what the heck? I actually have done this. I can talk about fashion and, all these different things given my professional credibility, right? In actually being a stylist and being a professional. So I started a YouTube channel and I was still styling. And obviously from styling, different shows would call me to be on. So I was on the Today Show. I was in contract with E! News for 2 years as a style expert. So, all the while being recognized for what I've done. And then, as you know, once you start putting your thoughts and your effort towards something, my social following started to grow and the styling started to go away. Like my strategy worked, right? So I did the social media YouTube for the past 6 years. And then 2 years ago, I was like, okay, did this, like, what am I going to do now for the rest of my life now that I have this audience? And I had this idea for an invention. And I invented Top Tote, which is a hat holder. And I launched, it's the first product of my namesake brand. And I launched it about a year and a half ago. And we sold it at Nordstrom 20 times. And, it's been a wild ride. I featured on the Today Show, Good Morning, just all these different shows. And so now I'm here.
Wow, what a journey. It's been so great to see it. Obviously in LA, we're only sort of a wine bottle tops throw from each other. And just looking back, I think it's so important for entrepreneurs to kind of see all of this as stepping stones and, how you've obviously managed to leverage everything that you've done for this. How important was building up, a community in your most latest venture by Lindsay Albanese? How much did that help you? You sold out in Nordstrom numerous times. You're able to use your, celebrity styling, everything that you've learned there. How important was that?
I feel like where I'm at now was my destiny, and it all became possible, and it was all inspired from that first day, that first styling gig I took at 23 years old. So yeah, it was all the connections. You have to be always thinking of just creating relationships from day one. And that's, I think, what I did. And as I pivoted, I used the relationships that I had cultivated from years prior, because every pivot I did was still within the same kind of industry. I went from celebrity fashion styling to fashion influencer, then to product inventor. So really, truthfully, there's a part of every single journey I've taken that has a part of helped me launch what I'm doing right now. Even back to when I went to college, like my first designer for my namesake brand was a connection that I made when I went to college, 18 years ago. So yeah, it's very important to always think beyond just the now. Like I got my job now and charge through it. It's like always being nice and open and asking people how their day was and making that impression so that they remember you, because down the line, you may need to reach out to them and you haven't seen them in 6 years, but they'll remember that nice person that they knew ages ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly, I think relationships are so key. And, even like in LA, it's sort of like you have to reach out, particularly when you're starting out. It feels like you're reaching out to every single person you've ever known.
You have to.
And I think one of the biggest challenges for entrepreneurs as well, particularly in a startup or, it doesn't matter if you've got investors or whether you're funding it yourself, which I know you have, you tend to wear all of these hats, right? Mm-hmm. And there's so many different things. One day, you find yourself, as I can imagine with you, it's creating content, and then it's brand strategy, and it's marketing. Right. There's so many things. So what's your, secret to wearing all the hats? I know you and yourself have obviously created a solution for actually wearing all these hats.
Right.
In the physical sense, but how do you actually do that and, wear all these hats on a day-to-day basis?
I think the fuel to wearing all the hats is the curiosity and passion that got you to that point to start that business endeavor. So, and I think I say that because if you're just doing it for the money, wearing all the hats is going to suck. So I truly feel like the secret sauce, like first and foremost, has to be that curiosity and passion. And then when you're wearing all the hats, that means you're doing it. Like, I'm doing it, like that's what it is. And so I think that's really important, because I think a lot of people do it because they just see a money opportunity, which is fine. But when you're really starting, something on your own, you maybe don't have a team or whatever, like I just think that's really important. And I think I've always known what I am good at and what I hate and what I'm not good at. And I really think you need to have that real sense of self going in, because the things that you hate and are not good at should be the first place that you put your money into, to delegate tasks and to take things off your plate.
Yeah, absolutely. We see so many entrepreneurs as well, burning out. That's such a key challenge for so many people, particularly when you're creatives as well. It's really easy to stifle a lot of that creativity if you're just trying to, do all the mundane, tasks. And actually there's the running the business, and then there's allowing the time to actually be, creative as well.
Mm-hmm. If it's not for the thought leader, the business is not going, is not going to become what you want it to be. If the thought leader is, doing all the numbers in the spreadsheets and going to UPS and FedEx all the time, like there is an element of that of doing in the beginning, absolutely. But you need to definitely invest in yourself. Phone a friend, ask your family, just to alleviate some of that. Hire maybe a service to take some of that off your plate, the messenger services or whatnot, because it's true. If you are the creator of this, it wouldn't have existed, your project, your idea, your business, your podcast, your YouTube channel, if it wasn't for you thinking of this unique perspective. So you have to protect that and nurture that. And you sitting behind a computer all day doing spreadsheets, or I don't know what it is, is not going to really fulfill you either, or scale whatever it is you want to build.
Yeah. And I guess that brings up another topic too. For a lot of people, entrepreneurs, some of us type A's, you like to be perfectionists and things and sort of do it all yourself. So it's almost in a sense giving up some of that control and trusting other people, particularly when it's your brand and your business. But
yes,
you can't scale unless you delegate certain parts.
Yeah, and you can delegate and you can oversee, so that is, a big part of it. People think like, oh, I'm just so controlling. And it's like, well, it's not the smartest thing. Why don't you bring someone in and then oversee? You will be amazed at how much it makes your life easier. And actually, it's not as scary as you thought, because when you bring anyone into your team, you're hopefully working together in some way to oversee it. And then, like any relationship, it grows and evolves, and hopefully they can be competent. And then if they're not, and you move on and find someone else.
No, that's great advice, actually.
People can get in their head and they're like, like, I'm going to say this, and I don't know, some people may have something else to say. I don't think the great business person is the one that starts their business and 5 years later, they're still doing absolutely every single thing. I don't think that's a badge of honor. When people tell me that, I'm like, wait, what? You've had your business for 7 years. You're still doing the customer service? Like, unless that's the level of success you want, then great. Like, I just want this small e-commerce business. I want to do everything wonderful. But if you're wanting more, you cannot be at the same place as far as management and overseeing everything as you were 1 year, as you were 5 years down the road. There's something missing. You're missing the pivot on how to take it to the next level. You got too caught up in the work and you forgot about the craft.
Yeah, that's great.
You know?
And I think, I know you've spoken about it before, is that in wearing so many hats as well, so much of the time we're problem solvers. And I was listening to something you said the other day about you always expect to have at least 99 problems on the go. Can you speak about that a little bit more? You know, what your typical day looks like for you?
Yeah. And I tell my assistant this all the time, like, there's always going to be problems. There's always going to be miscommunication. That's business. Business is problem solving every day. So when you start to understand that and accept that, it's very liberating, because things are going to go wrong. Yep, that's going to be an issue. Someone's going to question this. It's fine. It's just information. They just want more information. Or now I just have to figure out this or that. You know, it's really a liberating feeling to know, to accept and expect that there's going to be delays. Things are going to go wrong. We'll get through it. Like, I have to actually manage my assistant's expectations, because I'm like, people sometimes don't get it, or people sometimes aren't going to respond. It happens, whatever, we move on. Or, oh, that didn't work. They're pissed. Okay, well, let's talk to them. If we can't make them happy, what can you do? Yeah. So I think that's really important. I really want people to understand it's just problems every day, all day. It's fine. You know, let's get through it. If it was all working out perfectly, I mean, everyone needs a challenge, you know?
Yeah.
And day-to-day life is everything. So I am the CEO of a product business, and then I'm also a social influencer. I self-fund my product business. So I still need to maintain my YouTube channel, Instagram, now TikTok, my stories every day, because number one, that's my brand. That also keeps me relevant. And also that's a revenue stream for me. So, you know, in the morning, maybe I'm talking about, you know, making new products for next year. And then, you know, I'm shooting 2 videos or 3 videos during the day. And now it's even harder because I can't even have my assistant around. So now I'm doing all the FedEx runs and stuff. But yeah, it's a little bit of everything. But like they say, variety is the spice of life. So, and curiosity and passion keep it going.
Yeah, very much. Mm-hmm. It's interesting when you start a business and you think, oh, you know, all the glamour, you know, the things that we love doing, and the strategy and the fun things, you know, the content and things. But I know what it's like. You sit at home and you're actively for most of the day. It's these ideals of what you sort of think it is, and then there's just the daily grind as well, you know.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest struggle, I think, as an entrepreneur, and I'm sure you can relate to this, is when you're doing so many things. The number one, my North Star with everything, and literally is prioritize. And it's hard. I have to remind myself every day, because when the inbox is full with all different inquiries, you kind of get hypnotized and you start blindly answering, or maybe you're answering the things that you think that are important. But if you really step back every time and go, wait, prioritize, what's the most important right now to me, to my business, what's pressing, you would be really surprised. You know, I think sometimes we also tend to answer and tackle maybe some of the easier things, because it's a lot sometimes to dive into the harder stuff, even as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But I swear, my North Star every day, especially when I'm overwhelmed, I step back, Lindsay, prioritize. What's most important? That's first. Everything else is after.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's that word is everything to me. It keeps me on track every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's so easy to get bogged down in so much. And then all of a sudden you've gone off on some sort of tangent, you know, trying fight this fire when it's all about perspective, I think, as well. Being able to take that step back, relook at things, get that perspective, and keep everything in. Am I working to strategy, or am I just getting really bogged down on the wrong road?
Right. Is that stuff even important right now? Like, it's actually, no, I can tackle that situation later on tonight at 5. Like, right now I need to deal with this, or, so.
Yeah. And I think you spoke before about managing expectations. What about managing your own expectations and, family, friends, that sort of thing as well? Because it can be really all consuming, obviously, until you're at the point where you've got these nice systems in place and you scale, and it's just a sort of free for all in the start. How do you manage those other expectations as well, including your own?
The expectations of what? Of success, or what I think should happen?
Yeah, and what you can do, how much time you want to be spending on certain things, because obviously you put more pressure on yourself as to what you can actually achieve, and probably for that matter too, what's realistic to achieve today, this year, in the first year of business, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I think it's, I'm really big on writing in, a journal a few times a week. I'm not one of those people, every morning I have my coffee. I can't, because in some mornings are like, oh, I'm dealing with this and that. But at least a few times a week, I write things down, like my goals, for that year, 2 years, whatnot. So I think writing it down a few times a week helps keep me on track. As far as, I'm not perfect. Like, I like to say that I'm great at time management, as far as I'm only going to spend this much time. But as sometimes you get really tunnel vision and you fall down the rabbit hole. And I think as long as you're getting a variety of things done in a day, and you can look back at your day and your calendar and be like, and really think to yourself, like, what did I do that aligned with my goals today? And you can really like list things or look at your calendar and because sometimes if we just think, we can't think about what we did or what we achieved. That's why I think it's so important to live your days by your calendar.
Yeah.
Truly. That's, yeah. And then you can look back. Oh yeah, I did all this. Oh wow. Whereas if you're sitting and having wine, what did you do today? You're like, I have no idea. Like, what happened today?
Yeah.
So, and managing expectations about success and stuff. Like, I've just learned, you never know when something's going to come or something's going to come to fruition. And in this past 2 years, I've really signed up for, if it's out of my control, even if I wanted it so bad, like, I'm not going to spend a lot of time being upset about it, because it's out of my control. Yeah. Or if something goes wrong and it's out of my control and I've tried to fix it, it's still going wrong, it's out of my control. I can't worry about it. So I've really kind of subscribed to that to maintain my sanity.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to be able to understand what you can control, what you can't. So going back to founding by Lindsay Albanese and with your first product, which was Top Tote, obviously, you've got to throw your hat in the ring. So how did that come about? How did you sort of get it off the ground?
Yeah, so like most inventors, or there's an issue that you're having in your personal life or that you see in the industry. And for me, it was like I was working with my celebrity clients carrying their hats when we go to Cannes, France, or wherever, traveling the world, and it was so annoying. And I was like, there has to be a better way. And then I realized nothing been invented for hat carrying since the hat box, which was like in the early 1900s. I was like, well, that's crazy. So it really just came out of a place of need, and then kind of made a little arts and crafts version, tested it out, different things, different ways to apply it. And then once we figured out what worked, I went through the patent process, and I thought, there's no way in hell someone hasn't invented this. That's what I thought. And then when I got my patent last year, I was like, oh my God, I'm the only one who invented it. That's crazy. Wow. So I guess the moral of the story with that, it's like, never just dismiss an idea that you have, thinking it's out there. My gosh, you may just be that person to think of it, and it may seem so obvious, but isn't it funny? Some of the best inventions are a lot of times some very simplistic, obvious things, right? That just no one's thought of.
What I was just going to say, I just love how simple you've made, everything.
And that's really the core value of the Lindsay Albanese brand, is I want to be a resource for people, as we grow. Right now, we just have Top Tote and then my 2-sided travel laundry bag, which no one's traveling right now. But I want to be a resource when you're like, I need something for this. I want people to automatically think, I'm going to see if Lindsay Albanese has that, like, that is really providing stylish products that have function and purpose is truly probably the only thing that's going to keep me interested in this business long term, because I've done so many pivots from social media, from fashion stylist to TV personality to YouTube to inventor to founder. It's like this is like long term, and I don't just want to make cute shit. That doesn't fulfill me. I need to complicate everything.
Yeah.
So
I love that. I love how you say, I don't just want to make cute stuff. You say, I want to, make functional stuff that actually serves a purpose and helps people, makes your life just that little bit easier, because everyone's searching for that, just anything that can make a process or, a day-to-day activity easier is just, win-win.
And I just wanted to say one more thing. I think what also the functional product thing, it's a way of channeling my personality into products, because truly when you have a functional product that makes your life easier, you want to share it with people. You want to talk to people. You want to talk to people about it. You want to show it. It's like, and that is really like bringing my personality and my love for connecting and talking with people through products. And I think that's also the most exciting thing too, because I want people to connect and share. So I just thought that was important, because that's like part of my passion behind, doing this as well.
Definitely. Yeah. So Lindsay, what's some of the best career advice you've ever had?
I feel like the reason that I am in this position is because I had people around me, my parents, family, that encouraged me to follow my curiosity. And as unconventional as it was, especially being a stylist in 2004, no one knew what the heck that was, or that you could even make money. I think that's my biggest thing for people who are not really sure what they want to do. It's like, well, what are you curious about or interested about? I feel like a lot of times maybe when people ask you what you're passionate about, people's automatic response is, I don't know, nothing. So I think that's a good starting point. My biggest piece of advice is you can't be shy. How are you ever going to be successful in an industry that you've never been in unless you ask people how they did it and how they got there? I mean, when I started out, when I was thinking about launching Top Tote, I called my parents' neighbor, who I hadn't seen probably since I was 7 years old, because I knew he had like this sunglass company. You just can't be shy, and you can't worry about bothering people. So I think that's really important. I think a lot of people right away, they're like, oh no, I don't know, I couldn't. It's like, well, then don't, then you won't. If you don't ask, then you're not going to get anywhere,
Yeah, that's it. You've got to ask if you want to receive something. You've just got to ask. And a lot of the times, what's the worst, that people can say? No, or so it's like you just
exactly
throw your hat in the ring. That's awesome. And just so you, on a personal level as well, going back to burnout being such a big thing, what sort of tips and stuff do you have on a personal perspective? How do you actually kind of just switch off, particularly when at the moment and with COVID and things like that, your home office is usually where you live and things as well. How do you actually just switch off, and how do you recharge those batteries in your own life?
So I personally think that when you're starting something, when you're passionate about something and building something, that burnout is inevitable. Like, I don't know, show me somebody who is building something who's like, I never burn out. It's like, okay, well, you need to tell me that secret, because I don't believe it. I need to see some proof. And I think that's okay, because I feel like it's working, it's building, you're in the trenches, and that's the price that you pay, but I think that it is important to know when that happens, and give yourself permission to be like, I just worked a ton, I deserve a break, and to just feel like it's, give yourself that pass, so, and I think I'm pretty good at that. But I don't have any tips really I mean, I've read all the things, all the suggestions, like the Pomodoro effect, work 15 minutes, take 15 minutes off. Do you know how fast 15 minutes is? I'm not staying on that program.
I know. I think a lot of the time it's just finding your own flow. Everyone's so caught up on finding this perfect balance of this and that. And sometimes balance looks so different for other people. It's just, go hard for a period of time, and then completely have a nice break, but it's not always the same. So it's, for me, I've always found it's about just flow and going with,
Mhm.
you've really got to like tap into your own intuition and kind of feel,
Right.
right, and what works for you. And that's
Right.
always different. Some days that's one thing will work, some days something else will work, and it's
Right.
just kind of, I guess, listening to yourself, and
Yes.
figuring out what works for you.
And having some boundaries too, I think, with yourself, because especially working with home, distractions. So just like having those boundaries, unless it's a break, I'm not gonna, wander into the kitchen and do the dishes or fold the laundry. I think it's just really knowing maybe where your triggers are, or being like, you know what, with Instagram, I'm only gonna look twice before noon for a few minutes. I think that's important too, right? I mean, that's not really burnout, but that's just more time management. But like you said, knowing your flow, setting boundaries,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's really important. And I think you perfect that over time. I didn't know what boundaries were or flow was 10 years ago. I was just going, right?
Yep.
So that just comes with experience and, understanding, having clarity, and being a professional and being like, it's going to be fine. I'm going to stop at 4 today because I'm maxed out,
Yeah. 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 And I think just lastly, I just wanted to ask you about, I've lived in a lot of places and I feel like LA's just something else. Like it's so amazing. I think just the sheer amount of opportunities that happen just when you sort of turn up in LA, like
Yeah.
just amazing. But at the same time, I feel like there's a real hustle culture, and hustle culture doesn't have to be, negative. Some people sort of associate hustling with, negative, working too much, burnout and things, but it's what it takes. And I feel like you're one of those people that have done that just really well. You've known your audience, you've known your industry, you go and make those relationships and stuff, but you have that sort of downtime as well. What are your sort of thoughts on, succeeding in LA particularly, in the hustle? What does sort of hustle mean to you?
I think you really set yourself up when you follow where your industry is simmering, where the hot spot of your industry is. Because even just starting out going there, like you said, look how we met. We met through other entrepreneurs. It's very inspiring to be surrounded by like-minded people and to feel that energy. So I tell people all the time, like, if you want to be a stylist, I'm like, what kind of stylist do you want to be? Well, then you got to move to New York or LA. That's just what it is, or maybe Nashville. You want to work with country singers, whatever. I think LA has definitely been added some fuel to and helped accelerate this, just from being around inspiring people and being in a very entrepreneurial city. It's like, wow, like this is where it's at. This is where people are building businesses.
Those like-minded people, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also just, I always say as well, LA, it's expensive city and things like that, you pay for that accessibility as well. And when you can get in front of the people, that's really key as well.
Yeah. And LA is a lot smaller than people think. So, it's spread out, but it's a lot smaller than people think. A lot of people, there's a lot of networking happening because we're out and about, and there's a lot of different events. And so yeah, I think it's really important, if you can, to start your business, or especially in the beginning, in the area that your business is the most prominent, I think.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much. What you've just sort of talked us through today is so important, even if you're starting out, or if you're a seasoned professional, you're looking to change careers, or even if you're just taking things to the next level. So thank you so much. Where can we find you, and where can we find the By Lindsay Albanese brand?
Sure. So my name is lindsayalbanese.com is where you can find my products, my YouTube, Lindsay Albanese, Instagram, Lindsay Albanese. So yeah, I'm pretty easy to find. I did that by design. You got to stay out there. You got to be easy to find, or else,
yeah,
or else no one can find you, and then that's not good.
No. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, really appreciate all the tips and insights. That's awesome. All right.
All right, Kat. Thank you so much.